How's it going, everybody? My name's Tim, and what I'm here to talk to you about today is the VP Vice Presidential Nominee Market on Betfair.com. And what I'm going to talk to you about today is an update from my last fucking video in which I fucking talked to you about how I was going to make my bet and how you should be betting on this fucking market, or at the very least, thinking about it in order to make that fucking bet a good, fat, juicy, paying off fucking out the fucking bank like you just fucking divorced that rich cunt fucking bet. And I'm going to fucking give you the 2 cents update on this about what has fucking happened, because the price has gone in a direction that incidentally has actually favoured me and could be construed as confirming some of the shit I said, which is fucking wrong, and I'm going to go into details about why that fucking logic is wrong, but still, at some fucking degree, it is actually fucking a good example of what I was fucking saying. In addition to this, I'm going to go into a fucking current issue in politics, because as you remember, I was given updates before I fucking started this betting shit about politics in general, and the fucking update I'm going to give is actually about fucking the current thing that is the news cycle, which is whether or not Trump fucking handled in February, specifically February, this fucking crisis correctly. Because the media have got one thing, and he's saying the other thing, and it's becoming full retard, because they're all acting like children, trying to trap the narrative. And in real life, the narrative is just bullshit. It's just crap invented by the press and the marketers. And Trump is a marketer. So it's all PR, it's fucking donk logic, and it's fucking surface over substance. But what is interesting here is that there was a point, the thing that they're talking about, and getting all fucking logically wrong because they're retards, about the fact that there was a fucking decision-making process that was not exactly easy to do, and was in the context of incomplete information. Every retard out there now is acting as if that this happened, and it was like there was a fucking it was like choosing which fucking t-shirt to wear. It was just fucking obvious and easy, which was not the fucking case. And I'm going to take us back a few weeks there, just before I missed out on the fucking trip to Europe I was meant to go on because of this bullshit, and tell you about what was going on, what we were all thinking at that time before we all decided to fucking forget it because it was politically convenient to forget, and how fucking Trump should have, and whether or not he was thinking the right way. Finally, I'm going to fucking go back into the election. I'm going to talk about Trump and Biden and where their strategies currently are with the fucking election. And I'm going to give you a few fucking updates on that. So stay fucking tuned, and I'll give you fucking all of the shit that I know and all the fucking knowledge I've accumulated over the fucking years that it goes into this shit, and a little bit of the fucking charming wit that comes with the fucking donkey logic fucking Australian who sounds like a fucking potato. Stay tuned. Now, just as a fucking quick update on that, I'm also going to give you some fucking updates on the election, because we always love fucking hearing from you on that. But basically, the update on that is that I basically said that I got her about $2.20, and I bought her at that price. She for a while, she'd gone up to $2.86, maybe like a day after I made that video. I bought a bit more of her around there, and she's now up to $3.50. And the main reason that this is pushed, and the main reason I even want to bring this up, is because the thing I said last time, it's about the information. And what's come out is there's more information come out, and whether or not this is true or not, just more information has come out, and through the media too, which has basically just had shit like, there was one article that fucking said that it was a fucking insider from the party who said that Amy Klobuchar was kind of the favourite, and Kamala Harris was actually not really like that much because of that fucking thing that she did when Tulsi Gabbard ripped her a new arsehole earlier in the year, or whenever the fuck that was, about like marijuana and shit, if you remember or recall. But anyway, they thought that they basically, and there's two things here, and I'm probably going to give you 2 cents by accident in this, but they had Amy Klobuchar higher, and I think it kind of makes sense in a way if you want to use it to confirm, which you shouldn't, but the idea that Obama, and this is new information, or relatively new, that fucking Obama had said he needs to pick someone based on whether or not it's like he's going to live, because that person needs experience. Amy Klobuchar obviously fits that role because she's been around a while and basically made like lots of legislative decisions. Whereas this Gretchen Whitmer, this or Cortez or whatever the fuck her name, these people are relatively new, and they're kind of popular in some ways, and they seem pretty cool, but they're not necessarily an experienced candidate. And I think this also adds in now because there has been a study that's come out, and it's hard to know what's influencing the markets here, but there has been a study that's come out that shows that majority of voters who are focused on Biden are more concerned about getting a VP with experience rather than the woke shit. And the woke shit's basically like the female of colour type shit, the stuff that Biden floated. And I think this is really, really good and going to play on him. Now, it is a committee that's outsourced from him, but I think that they'll probably be thinking the same way. And for him, this is great, because I think all along he's really wanted to just stay on normal politics. If you do look up his background, this guy's a pretty straight shooter, and he's not a moron, and I don't think he likes this whole fucking woke thing, and he's really struggled to pander to it. So because of those fucking studies and the fucking way they've weighed this whole thing up, it's given him a lot more fucking strength, I think, and this is all speculation, by the way, so like you need to be careful with the way I'm thinking, because it sounds convincing, and that's can be a problem. But it sort of shows to me, this is at least a logical idea, that maybe there's more incentive for him now to go after just looking for a candidate that actually would make sense as a fucking candidate to be a leader, rather than to just look woke. And that's fucking where he's going to go now. But the point is, I didn't want to go into this fucking speculation. What I actually wanted to go into here, and I'm on a bit of a rail, but fucking rails are good, especially with me here. The fucking rail I wanted to go onto originally was basically that the prices with Kamala Harris, whether or not she ended up going down because information came out that said she was more likely, or up, what it's showing now is, and it's a great example of this, and this isn't like, first of all, it's not proving me right, which is the tendency for us to go for that when someone makes a bold prediction, has a really logical process for saying why that's the case, and then that it turns out to sort of be right. That's not the point I'm making, okay? I'm mentioning that too, not to be like, oh, I'm above it, but to mention it just so you can learn something here. It's important for me to mention that. The reason I'm mentioning it is it shows that even with a little bit more of information leaked, which is always going to be, because it's always going to be a news cycle, it just shows you, it starts becoming immediately obvious to the people who are fucking watching in the public that maybe, like, they just didn't know that much in the first place, okay? But the thing is, and what gives me an edge here, is I know that there's incomplete information, and that there is a quote-unquote information decay. The concept of decay is like to do with fucking nuclear shit. I can't remember exactly, but basically like there's a half-life of something, okay? A half-life is basically, I think it's for like radiation shit, but the half-life is the amount of times it takes before that stuff is like half as radioactive. And then from then on, it gets more and more less radioactive, but like at a slower rate. I think it's like an inverse exponential relationship or some shit like that. Okay, you fucking nerds will follow this, all you other people. You don't really need to know. Point is, over time, it like a vegetable, it fucking rots. Information does the same thing. Information rots over time when we have fucking limited information. But the thing to know is here, though, the key is the fact that not only was the information going to rot, there was so much potential for the information to rot, because we had fucking basically none. And the less you have, the more the odds are higher, because you don't have enough information to actually inform why the odds should be priced. So therefore, I've actually gotten myself into a situation that was far more likely to, I guess, get to a point now where it's sort of enforcing what I said, just by understanding this one concept about sort of how information works. And the information, and how information works, in incomplete information works, and how fucking odds are priced based on information, right? And how they work around incomplete information. And it's important to fucking say this, because if you're going to bet on shit, you need to understand that everything is based on... Okay, let me put it this way. There's an interesting fucking thing going on right now. This is actually a very fucking relevant example. It's with Donald Trump right now. He's getting screwdrived by the press for not making the right decisions in the right order. Okay, whatever. In February, he was over-promoting it, which he did. He was like, no, it's going to be great, economy's great, whatever. A lot of this now, and people are even forgetting it, and because people get tribal and emotional, their fucking logical fallacies get out of line because they don't give a fuck. They have higher order of priority than actually being truthful. Whether or not he made bad decisions, and he did to some extent, there is definitely a way of having hindsight bias in this, and looking at things like this and say, oh, well, we should have known this. Why did you not do this? You were underprepared. I'm going to look at it a little bit here, but like... Donald Trump, for instance, didn't really know at certain points whether or not he's made the right decisions, and I don't think he necessarily has, but there's something to be taken into consideration here. People are looking this back on now in February as if we actually thought that there was a good chance, like a high degree chance, that this corona thing would have turned into this fucking thing that was like World War II level fucking like impactful, not like in lives, but just in terms of how much of a deal it is in fucking our lives. And basically back then, no one actually sort of thought that could happen because no one had the precedent for it, right? But at the same time, you were weighing up that and a massive over-response to that, or hardline response to that, or the economy, because the economy would mean if you made the hardline response, the economy would end up going into a bad spot. Now, it's easy to fucking make that fucking judgment in hindsight with the information you now have. But at the time, kind of like if you were playing a poker hand, on one side, you've got the fucking economy, right? And on the other side, you've got potentially way worse situation, but you've got this thing, and you basically got to figure out which one of these cunts is more likely and which one is more damaging, considering which one is more likely. But the thing is, how do you figure out which one is more likely? You've got one fucking thing, which sounds like every virus that we've had basically in our lifetimes, which is basically just like, this is going to fizzle into fucking nothing, more or less. Not going to affect every majorly developed economy on Earth. Or we've got the thing where we actually know from fucking very, very recent and consistent history that if you shut down a fucking economy and shut down borders, that will destroy that economy and people will fucking die. Okay? That's the decision you're making, and that's the situation you're in. I do understand that in February, they were doing an information gathering process after initially cutting down the borders, or shutting some of the borders down. But the truth is here that every single one of these leaders made bad decisions during this point. And the reason they made bad decisions is because it's hard to make good decisions when you don't know what you're against. See, there's a thing in poker where you could be in a situation like this where you've got two particular outcomes, or maybe even more, but you have to weigh up which one of these is going to be more costly and which one of these is going to be more likely, or both, and how those two trade off together to make one of them the worst options. But in poker, at least you can figure out exactly, to a great degree, what the mathematical likelihood is based on, because knowing beforehand how many fucking hands in the deck are and roughly how many hands that cunt is playing and what kind of hands. Okay? In this, the odds are uncapped. The damage is uncapped because we have no idea. And because of that, it's so far and away fucking outside of like what we could even begin to like put a price on or a fucking likelihood on, that it's very difficult to make those kind of decisions. So when you know that there can be a harsh result of the economy, but you also know that there's a high likelihood that that will happen if you do that to the economy, and it's very tempting to sort of like go towards to war, looking after the thing that seems more likely. And you oftentimes in life, for whatever it is we do, that tends to be the fucking right result. But we as people tend to try and take responsibility for shit in hindsight and forget the fact that we had limited information. And we all fucking do this. And I think part of the reason we do this is because we want to tell ourselves that we had more control over something than we actually fucking did, and acknowledging the horrible fucking reality of life that in many ways we are completely fucking powerless to the mercy of basically reality, even if we fucking make decisions. So there is this tendency to try and create this hindsight fucking narrative that is designed purely to make ourselves think that we have any control over this at all if we had just made the right decisions. But it's not fucking true. It's not fucking true. So you need to start thinking like this. And the key fucking takeaway from here is to think in terms of incomplete information, and know that fucking incomplete information can change very quickly. And at least on an exchange, it changes all the fucking prices and all the fucking like senses of certainty and likelihood. And in real life, basically the key also too is to look back and realize that we tend to not use that same logical decision-making process and analysis in shit that happens in real life, and is a fucking great example of it happening in American politics right now. Which actually is a fucking great segue for me to start talking to you about American politics. Now, I haven't been watching this cunt as much because fuck, it's boring and who gives a shit. But from what I fucking see, we've got this weird sitch where Trump is doing his fucking thing every day, and he's kind of starting to lose the media war a little bit, because they fucking know what they need to do, and effectively they're running Biden's campaign at the moment, because this cunt is just, they're just trying to, he's on the IV drip right now, but basically his social media is just alive by his social media people to keep him active enough to look like he's alive. When he's off the oxygen, he occasionally does a podcast, and the media have basically been trying to bait Trump into a fucking argument about fucking the whole thing about him mistreating the crisis, and it's fucking worked. He keeps baiting it, but by baiting it, he keeps validating it, and he also gets defensive about it, because Trump can't back down to anyone. He gets angry, and they know it, and they love it. So it's helping them, and his polls are going down. Or at least I see that being the connection. I could be completely fucking wrong. There's also, their criticism is valid. They're saying, why did you not take this seriously? That's valid. People know that. I think that they're winning with the narrative against what I said before about the idea that he should have been able to make better decisions. I don't think that that's fair, but they're winning with that. So all Trump is doing right now is ground saying, Biden somehow is finding a way to fuck this up. And the way that he's finding a way to fuck this up is he's now talking about being tough on China on trade. And the weird thing is, all he had to do was not fucking talk to be able to fucking give himself an advantage over Trump. And then you just let Trump talk himself to death. Trump is the kind of guy who can win himself or lose himself the fucking election. But Biden is now trying to fucking get involved and fuck the whole thing up. He is now trying, and this is dumb as fuck, and I'm sure his aides are going to step in soon, because it's going to be hard to see, but they're in a weird spot. The spot is this, where he's trying to fucking play the China game. and the trade game and the tough on China game. He can't win that game. If he makes that the fucking litmus test for who should be the president, he's not going to win that game. Not only is he fucking got no backtrack record to prove it, but if he makes that the fucking issue, fucking it's going to be too hard for him to even fucking argue with it. Trump's just going to monster him over the debates and whatnot. Okay? The other side to this as well, and I want to give a little bit of credit here too to Biden, is the reason that and I believe that the reason that he's trying to do this is because he's probably thinking, and this is some pretty fucking shitty donk logic, he's probably thinking inevitably this fucking China and how China's treated is going to inevitably be the litmus test of the fucking election. Okay? And we can see that because all that's happening now is this fucking China corona fucking thing. This is the thing that's going on. So the two fucking issues are Trump or whoever it was being incompetent and not handling it or taking it seriously, and then the response to China. Now, if he's going to get baited into thinking that because this is going to be the issue for a while, and because Trump gets to be the person at the front talking and dictating everything, he's going to be wanting to fucking suck himself into that. But the problem is, he's not going to be able to win that. Because this cunt can barely stand up. He cannot even fucking talk. So, and he's also got a bad track record with China and fucking neoliberalism. So he's not going to be able to play that game. This plays way more into Trump's hands. Even though it's tempting and it seems logical that this is going to go towards a China fucking thing, and even though he might even have fucking to gamble on that, it's still a fucking better chance than if he tries to force this to be a narrative that Trump is going to be with the advantage on. Because it's going to come to Trump, and then Trump's going to be in a situation where Trump can try to force him into debates and shit and make him look like a fucking idiot. Because when Trump, if it's a combination of a narrative and a litmus test that Trump is not good on, and a fucking opponent who is like a 3-year-old fucking child, Trump is going to be able to be the one to spin this fucking thing in the debates so people think, okay, well, if this is about China, he's actually got a fucking good point. He does not, Biden should not be thinking about that. Biden should just be talking shit on the sidelines and letting Trump fucking put the noose around his neck and then fucking letting the media for him dictate the idea that this guy is too much of a fucking loose cannon to actually run this country during a real reality fucking bending crisis. That is a winning strategy for them. In fact, they may even win on that. But right now, Biden is trying to fuck it up. So they need to shut that cunt up, but not permanently, because if they fucking are too aggressive about it, he might die. Anyway, that's my fucking take. All the best. I'm fucking Tim, and fucking yeah, take care. Boom.
Get him in a shepherd arrangement back to back.
Oh, the cutting board tackling.